Hey guys, it's Randy Pierce and Natalie Marie Collins back with another human design class. Today we're just going to unroll this organically and riff on a couple of questions, and we'll just see how it goes. We want to talk about really how human design helped us better understand. Oh my God, let me start again.
Stop reading.
Hey guys, it's Randy Pierce here with Natalie Marie Collins. We are back for another human design class. In today's class, we're just going to riff freely and organically about how human design has helped us better understand ourselves and maybe some of the tweaks that we've made to our lifestyle as well as business. Once we had a chance to look at our chart and go, oh, yes, there's that thing. Yes. And I know that I had that experience too. I know Natalie had a few experiences when she discovered human design. It just helped us click some pieces into place. So we'll just riff on how our own individual experiences has helped us get better tuned in. And as a manifesting generator, and Natalie is a projector, she'll help you understand if you are either one of those types. We'll just help you understand how you can better interpret your own chart to make changes in your life and in your business to make things flow. So Natalie, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so this is going to be a really fun conversation because before I was introduced into human design, for those of you that know any of my background, I started my entrepreneurial journey because I cleaned up my diet. I did the raw food diet for 2 years, became super clean with that, and got really in touch with energies and energy of myself and cleaned out a lot of stuff. And so I started moving in the direction of knowing that I needed to do coaching. And I started off doing health and raw food coaching because it made such a huge transformative change in my life. I wanted to help other people tap into the possibility and the cool things that happen when you start going in this direction with your life. So I knew from that standpoint, and this was years before I had found out about human design, that I wanted to move in this direction. And I didn't have anybody else around me who I could have as an example. I didn't know about the online space. I didn't really have people to follow or model around that. Like I did find a course on it online, but I didn't have any real role models. And so I was just going with this instinctual intuition, despite people telling me I was literally crazy in my real life around me. But I knew that I had to follow this. And so eventually, through this process, I actually got in tune and in touch with my inner authority for the first time ever. And it completely changed everything for me. It told me that I needed to get a divorce and get out of the relationship that I was in and move me in the direction that I'm in now, because soon after I got a divorce is when I met my now husband, Lee, who's the best thing that could ever have happened to me, and who became my role model. He became my mentor with all this. He's been doing online coaching and marketing for 20 plus years. And so he's literally showed me the ropes on how to do this. But I had this inkling before that that's the direction I needed to go in, even though I didn't know about it. So fast forward several years later, in being introduced to human design and being invited to dive into human design, I really was taken back, because one of the first things that was told to me as a projector is that, oh, I'm not here to work, which was really weird. I was like, what do you mean? I'm spinning myself in circles. But it was almost this sense of relief that came over me, but this still didn't feel quite right. So there's this conditioning that we gotta hustle and do all the things. And but then when I was told that I'm not here to work, what that actually means and what I've come to understand is that projectors are not here to work in the traditional sense, not here to do the hustle and grind 9 to 5 type of work, which I knew instinctually, and it validated for me that getting out of the corporate world was the right decision for me to make because it was in alignment with myself. So a lot of this became like validation for me and gave me words and understanding about the clarity that I had gotten before coming into this. Like, I had followed the right path, and this is showing me from my blueprint how I'm really designed to live and operate my life. And I have been completely fascinated with this ever since, because all of a sudden I had words to describe and words that help people change their life in a different way. They didn't have to go on the raw food diet, which is a dramatic change for people. And most people are not willing or ready to be able to do that kind of stuff, but they can still transform their lives in knowing how they're designed to work. And so this gave me this whole other rich knowledge and language to be able to communicate to people and be able to explain how they're designed to operate. And so with this newfound knowledge and information, with a projector not designed to work, quote unquote, we're actually, as a projector, I'm designed to be a guide for people. Coaching is one of the best roles that I could ever do as a projector. And I was already naturally stepping into that. And then being able to look at and learn that projectors market differently. The energy is different. What works for generators and manifesting generators doesn't work for projectors. And I was like, that's why I've been hitting my head against the wall when I try, like, I guide and coach people all day long on this stuff, and it works like magic for them. Literally, like, golden little nuggets just happen. But when I try to implement it myself, it doesn't work right. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
And so I was burning myself out trying to work the way that I had been traditionally taught. Part of it was my manifesting generator husband. That's how he knows how to work. And so I actually stepped into, because I was doing virtual assistant work in the meantime. And so I was actually completely burnt out, and I started stepping into the coaching role because I knew in my heart of hearts I needed to do coaching, and people were asking me for it. And I noticed that when I would come on the call with my, the people that I was doing virtual assistant work for, they were actually asking me for coaching. They wanted me to guide them and like manage them and their business and show them the way of how, like, what I was thinking actually needed to be done in their business. I'd give them the overall view, and they're like, okay, now go do it. But that's where I got disempowered, was the actual go out and like do all the things part. Because I got actually built up a really great business doing virtual assistant work for people. And at one point I had 13 clients, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but like once you get into it, I was literally managing and directing 13 businesses, which is a lot, and running 13 businesses. So you can imagine that I burnt myself out really quickly. And so stepping into the coaching role, and I've been doing it ever since, that was finding human design was completely validating. And I knew that do not get myself trapped into doing the work for people anymore. Because as a projector, that actually disempowers my energy to be down in the muck doing it for them, where I need to be as a projector up here as the guide, because that's the gift that projectors bring. And so it was this, just this huge validation point in permission almost to step into more of my power and stand strong with what it is that I knew I needed to be doing. And I was able to start just making these tweaks and changes in my business to where I'm showing up as the guide in my power and not going back on my conditioning and being aware of what the conditioning can drag me back down into, of not doing the day-to-day hustle and grind that I'm not designed to do, because I will burn myself out in that. My energy is actually really precious, and projector energy is incredibly precious. And projectors, what I've learned, are designed to show up as the specialist and come in. And it doesn't mean that projectors can't do the work, because I can literally run circles around people when I do the work. But if I were to do it for 10, 12 hours a day, I will not last long. And so projectors come in for like a couple hours, come in and be the specialist and do a finite, very specialized thing, can run circles around everyone, and then need to go off and nurture themselves and have fun and enjoy their life. And so it was this opening up of permission again to step into that and not feel guilty about not constantly working and not constantly getting myself into burnout, because I can get burnout really easily and very quickly. And who knows how long it'll take me to recover. Sometimes it'll take me a day, and sometimes it'll take me months. I don't know. And so having that awareness that I can easily burn out, then I can become more wise about how the energy is used, which is what I'm here to do.
Yeah. It's so awesome. And I'm just curious, I want to ask you a question if I can. That resistance that you felt to a traditional work schedule, both in the corporate space and as a hustling entrepreneur, where did you feel that? Was it a head thing? Was it a body thing? Was it an energy thing?
It was a body and energy thing. So how I feel it, because sometimes I'll get like really excited and ramped up, and it may be my energy, but it may also be the other person's around me energy that they're really excited about. So I've had to learn how to discern, is it really mine, or is it somebody else is actually excited about this? But it'll like excite me and rev me up, and I'll have like all this energy, and it might be like a couple days later and it'll peter out and it'll be like, done. I'm like, I was so excited about this. What happened? And so when that energy is like petered out, or if I'm not in energetic alignment with it, which for me, like, can feel like this buzzing energy, like throughout my body, like a vibrational buzzing energy. It's like, and it's a very distinct, like, I know this is for me.
Yeah.
And there's, for me, my inner authority is willpower. So it really comes down to, what do I really want? What's in it for me? And what do I have the will to do? Like, what am I willing to do? And so I have to pay attention to, am I willing to do this? Or am I actually not willing to do this? And I've got to take a look at what is actually correct and what's not. And I'll feel it rev up in my body. And so the ones that are really correct for me, it's almost this swirl of energy that happens, and it activates that willpower center. And sometimes I'm like months going for it every single day. And that's just because it's correct for me. And I have the energy to see it through. But when it's not, it's that couple days in, I'm like, nothing. And so it'll be when I like, well, if I'm in that space of like, no, I'll come to like the project and I'll literally like be blank, or there's just no energy to do it. And or I'll be spinning my wheels, or be in like hitting walls and frustration for hours. And because sometimes I'll pop in and see that somebody needs me to like do something. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I'll get like roped into like this huge project. And I'm like, what just happened? And so like a year later, I'm like hitting up against brick walls, and I like just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's such an important piece there that you were talking about, where your energy goes from on fire to totally like, I can't even, like, I got nothing.
There's nothing there. Yeah. And it's not really a mental thing, because my mind wants to do the thing. And there's a stimulation and a funness to this. But if it's not here, if there's no excitement felt in the body, or if there's no like drive to move forward, if there's like stagnant energy, there's no energy to do it. And that's where it can be a total trip to the mind of like, but we want to do the thing. We know this is the right thing to do. And the body's like, no energy. And I'm like, what? And so that's this huge trip that happens with human design of syncing your brain and your body up to where your brain and your mind is not the one that's dictating the direction of what to do. It actually comes from the body of like, yes, this is the correct thing. And then the mind is really fantastic in here to follow the directions and to have a database full of all the information needed to move forward. Mm-hmm. And it gets to pull from it. Like, oh, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to pull that off. I know what to do next.
Yeah. That's another important point that you just talked about. The drive comes from the inner alignment, and you can feel that. Mm-hmm. And as entrepreneurs, I think 99% of us go into it from this thing, driving from this thing. And if we don't listen to what's right for us, then we're going to end up burning out. I mean, I'm a manifesting generator and I can burn out if I'm not doing the right work, but we'll talk about that later. Just curious, can you give people an idea of maybe the shifts that you made in your schedule to allow you as a projector to feel your way into your natural energy flow or energy source?
You bet. So there's a really, and actually followed my husband Lee's lead with this. Because he had to show me how to put up boundaries. I didn't know what boundaries were until I met him. Okay. I had no idea. So no wonder I was burning myself out and spinning my wheels and possibly creating health issues and stuff for myself through this. And so when I met him, he's like, these are boundaries. I was like, new concept. So I've learned over time how to implement correct boundaries for me. And I've learned also that when I put in correct boundaries for me, it's actually me showing other people how I want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And so putting those into place, I'm a people pleaser. And so that was really hard lesson for me to really put in boundaries. But what I realize is when I do this, it actually allows me to show up as my best self, which is what my clients are paying me for. Okay. So that was this huge lesson. So when I tell you exactly how I structure this out, it came from the space of knowing that when I do structure it out this way and I stick to it, I'm serving my people from a better place. Okay. So knowing that I need time for rest and relaxation. And I like to sleep in sometimes, actually a lot of times. And so I like to not schedule calls before 10 a.m. Because I want to be able to, because I know that I'm not going to sleep past 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock if I really need extra sleep. But that gives me the opportunity to, hey, if I want to wake up at 7, I still have 3 hours before I need to get to work. And so that gives me the time in the morning to do my morning pages, to have my coffee, to do my journaling for the day of what do I want my day to look like? It allows me to get a shower and put my makeup on and do my hair so that when I show up, a lot of times I'm on video. So I need to give myself that time. And so if I don't schedule my calls before 10 a.m. and moving to Utah, so now I'm on mountain time, a lot of my 10 a.m. calls were scheduled when I lived in Atlanta. So they're East Coast time. So there's 2 days that have 8 a.m. calls. And so those days I'm like, no cameras. But I've scheduled it around it to where I can actually tweak it. But when I'm doing coaching calls, I do not do them before 10 a.m. And then I try, depending on the person, I try not to schedule them after 3 p.m., 3 or 4, depending on the day. And so I have this window of time. And if anybody's listened to my podcast, I talk about actually creating this time space for in your Ayurvedic doshas from 10 to 2 is actually the most productive time of the day. in according to Ayurveda. So I was like, oh, I'm actually scheduling all my calls within this productive time. And so, and then knowing that, so then I have time to, if I want to do a late lunch, Lee and I will sometimes go out, or if I want to go to the store, whatever it is, I have this space outside of working time, or if I need to catch up, I can. If I have writing stuff, I can maybe do it in the morning. It depends on, like, I have this space for the flow to happen and also the nurturing to happen. And then in this space, I know that because I've given myself this space and created this boundary for myself out here, I can show up inside of this container for my people in the highest place that I can, with the highest energy, the highest vibration. They get my best here. Now, if they get outside, like if they have to like schedule something later, I will like precursor. Yeah. I will do my best to show up, but I really like to have my time set this way. So I do most of my work during this time. And then if creative time happens in the evenings, I also only do it Monday through Thursday. So then I have 3-day weekends every weekend. And a lot of times, especially as entrepreneurs, we have those weekend events where they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so I don't schedule any repetitive calls, like ongoing client calls on Fridays, because I want to leave those spaces open, because I love going to the marketing and networking events. And I meet people there. Like that's where as a projector, that's where I actually meet my best clients, my best people are during this time. So I need to make sure that I have this time available, and I'm not trying to move everybody else around and inconveniencing everyone. So I just schedule it during these times. So, or I can go camping Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and call it good. Yeah. Whatever works. Yeah. So a lot of times Friday can be catch-up day too, because if I get really busy during the week, I may not have time to do some of my other projects until Friday. And so Friday is training day, where sometimes Lee and I will take the entire day and put up training on the big screen and learn all day long. Or it's catch-up day where we're just working on sales funnels or stuff or products that we're building. A lot of times that's when I do my podcast, to where I'm not having interruptions, because sometimes it takes me hours to go through and create these podcast episodes. And it's really hard if you have like an hour in between clients to get that time to get into the brain space and the flow that is needed to really think through some of these things. Yeah. So that I've created that boundary and that container to be able to do that when the creative energy comes through and is like, and now you need to talk about this. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. And I think it's so important, not just as projectors, but as entrepreneurs in general. We have to give ourselves permission to create boundaries. And I know for women, it's a thing. A lot of us just didn't grow. I know from my experience, I was rewarded for doing things for other people or making other people happy. Yeah. And that pulled me so far outside of what I knew was true for me, that's exactly how I showed up in my business. And man, it was exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and there's your kitty.
This is Mika.
They always have to be the center of attention. They're so funny.
I have something to say about boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you one more question, and I know what it was. As a projector, if you had one tip that you could share about marketing as a projector, because there's this whole invite thing, and I've heard people talk about it, and it's that you can't go out and make offers. So can you help people sort of understand, as a projector, how do you do that outbound marketing and create a receiving energy?
So it's completely different for projectors. And that was part of the realization that as a projector, the projector energy is different. So projector energy is very focused on the other person. So if the energy is invited, the other person, it actually feels really good to be seen and heard really deeply by somebody. It can be very, very transformative in the moment. But if it's not invited, it can feel very prickly and very like, I don't want you to see me for whatever reason. And so that's where the invitation really comes in, of you're either inviting somebody to really see and hear you, like from the other end, or they're not your person to see you. And so for me as a projector, I've got to understand that the people that I meet, and a lot of times it's in person, so these networking and marketing events that I go to, the projector energy is very magnetic when they're in their power. And so I like to go to marketing events, and I like to have other people, I like to hook up with other people that are there. And I like for them to go around and introduce me to all their friends, because that's an invitation for me to meet them. And then I get to see who shows up and who doesn't. And so this is like in the physical, this is how that works best for me. And so, and then I can see face to face if this person is genuinely interested in what it is that I have to say or not. And so I always present myself as they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a business coach. And if they're interested, because business coach is really broad.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different things we can do as business coaches. You've known this, Randy, you've been a business coach in the past, and you went on to mindset work. But if somebody is like, oh, I need a business coach, that's the invitation for me to invite them into telling them more about what I do and how I help people and how I help them really get into their alignment with themselves and create from that alignment through their design, through their element, and putting this together into courses and getting themselves online and, like all these nuances that I'm able to do for the right person. But then if I've had somebody in my circle, and I've had this before, who's known me for a couple of years, and they're like, I don't understand what you do. I don't get it. What do you do? That's actually not the person for me, and it's not an invitation.
Why not?
Because they're frustrated because they don't get it. But somebody who, cat hair, sorry.
Real life people.
I know, real life. You saw the cat.
Unedited.
So because I was actually in a mastermind with them, and I explained myself over and over, and they still didn't get it.
Interesting.
So they actually were not seeing me for who I am and for the gifts that I bring. And so I knew that they were not my person. And so it's also really fun because I dress in my element. Mm-hmm. When I go to networking events, people who come up to me and like get me and like get my look, that can strike up the conversation. I know that person is my person. Or they're part of my tribe. But if they don't understand, like, why am I wearing a jean jacket to a professional event, they're not my person.
Love that. And I love that you mentioned in-person networking. I think that's important on many levels, but if traditional marketing or traditional networking, right, just those awkward events,
I love them.
You've got to find, a networking marketing system that works for you. And also as a projector, and I only know this because we talked about it, but about the projector energy actually goes out into other people's auras, and the people who go, oh, who's that lovely lady over there? That's yeah.
So I get people that tell me there's something about you, I don't know what it is. That's actually the invitation for me to connect with them. because they're being automatically drawn in through my aura. And the chances are that they're probably a generator or manifesting generator, because that's how the projector aura works. It's literally like this magnetism for generators and manifesting generators to be drawn to the correct projector aura for them, because they need the guidance and wisdom that that projector has to offer them. So it's really fun for me. I love seeing it in person. So I do it in person a lot more than I do it online. But when it comes to the online space, putting together, so projectors, this is kind of the fun thing. Projectors are here to guide step by step through a process. But a lot of times it's not necessarily the traditional process that is being taught 50 million times. The projector has a unique perspective on it, and each projector will have a unique perspective on it, and it's usually like a little bit weird. But when they step into that little bit weird side, that's what the little antennas go up and say, what is that? You have something different, and I think that's what I need. And so it can be hard for projectors to be like step out into like the weird zone of something, but also talk to the practicality side of things, because people buy through their logic and their emotion. And so that weird part is more the emotion. And then there's the practicality of like, oh, I get the logic of it. These are things that I need. And so there's different invitations that happen. So for example, when I'm doing a podcast, I can be like, hey, I have this coming up. And if you'd like to know more, here's the link for it. So with a manifestor energy, manifestors are here to initiate. They're here to be like, this is what's happening. This is what you need to do. Click here now. It's very do the thing. For projectors have a softer energy. And if I were to tell you, you need to come do coaching with me, this is what I'm going to offer you, click here now to get started, or the rest of your life is like, you're never going to be able to make it type of thing, that actually feels really weird coming from a projector. It's like, don't tell me what to do. Right?
Yeah.
But the reality is people love to be told what to do if it's told to them correctly.
Yeah.
And so if I were to say, hey, I'm starting a group coaching program and I really want to serve women who want to step into their projector power, women who, or women who know that they're here to do something bigger and want to really get into their sacral generator energy to know what that correct yes and no is for them. And I want to help guide and support them through this process so that you really can feel into that juicy yumminess that comes from your belly and get that direction of yes and no. If you're interested in joining the group, I'm going to give you the link for this and you can follow it and learn more about it. So it's more of a letting them know. It's not informing them that they like, this is what I'm doing type of thing, but in a sense, it's an invitation to people of, hey, this is what I have going on. And if you are interested in this, I invite you to come learn more. So it's a softer approach, and it's more, in a sense, it's more passive, but the people that it's correct for, they're like, you're doing a group coaching program? I think that I want to be a part of that group. This sounds really interesting. I think I want to learn more about that. So there's invitations, but it's a softer approach. And so, which actually felt a whole lot better to me as a projector when I started learning about, oh, I need to market differently. So if I'm commanding people and telling them what to do, I'm actually turning them off. Whereas like the manifestor energy, and you can do this too, because you have the generator and manifestor energy as a manifesting generator. You can, once you're in your, I'm doing this, then you can inform people that this is what I'm doing. This is how much it costs. And this is what you need to do to click here now. Yeah. And it's this commanding energy because that's the energy you bring. If I try to do that, it goes all wonky.
And it probably feels wonky.
It does.
Yeah.
And so it's always very interesting. So the more that that as a generator, manifesting generator, you can start your sales pages off with, you can start it with the, hey, this is like the benefit, this is what you're going to get, and then go into some questions so people can respond to it. But the projectors are more like going into questioning mode to get that sacral response, to start opening up the invitation for them to learn more.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so it's similar, but also very different when you approach it, when you look at it from the nuance side of things. And so projectors who are trying to really push and then hitting their head up against the wall, I like to come in and look at it and be like, oh,
Yeah.
you may be fire energy, but it actually needs to be softened a little bit more and put into more of an invitation mode than like, do the thing.
Well, and then, 9 times out of 10, they're just marketing that way because that's how somebody told them to do it.
Yep. So a lot of
right for them.
A lot of projectors are taught how to market as generators, and generators and manifesting generators are taught how to market as a manifester. And so then it gets like all convoluted and then things don't work right because they're not presenting their energy correctly, and sales don't happen, and it's like, it doesn't feel good for both parties. And like, it gets funky and weird and messed and jumbled and messy. But when you can start to understand how you as a manifesting generator show up in your power, and then you can show up on either, if you're doing a video sales letter or just through text, how does that translate? How is that conveyed in the powerful language that you can bring versus a generator? If the generator is trying to be a manifester, it feels weird.
Yeah.
And
I do want to talk about that because I did make some shifts in my marketing once I discovered I was a manifesting generator and how to word that stuff. But before we go there, I just want to give you one last opportunity. Is there anything else that you feel is important for people to understand as projectors, how to live and work in alignment with their truth in the world?
So projectors are here to master systems.
Okay.
Because as a projector, projectors are here to guide people, generators and manifesting generators, and some manifestors, through the systems. And so when they master a system, then they can start guiding people through it and be recognized, seen and recognized for that. Now, here's the caveat to this. So I know systems upon systems upon systems with things. The biggest system that I've been trained on is called a repeat profit system. It's this huge entire marketing system. It's phenomenal. It works for all types as long as the languaging is correctly, and I can modify it to the different types in human design to have it work for each individual person. It took me a good year to learn this system inside and out. And so that's like every day going in and learning this. And so ultimately, when I'm working with people as a business coach, I see where they're at and is this the correct way for me to guide them in? And so with projectors, if they have like their main system that they work in, so there's like the main system, and then there's this system, and then this system, and then this system, projectors come in and see the person very intimately and can actually get to the bottom of what it is that they really need. So maybe this big thing is the eventual system, but they might need this little system right now. And then they can guide them through this little system, and this little system can then become a little mini course. And learning like how this is and how does it tie into the big one. So you as a projector, and this actually is a very good way for marketing in general to work according to your design and if it's correct for you, of bringing people in like, hey, you might need this little system, and it's a part of the big system, but you might just need this little step for right now. And it's this introduction to how they can be guided along this journey. And so I like to meet people in person because then I can really get a sense of, oh, you need to start with this little piece.
Mm-hmm.
I can help you through this piece. Would you like help getting this accomplished? And then they can respond with yes or no, I would like your help.
Yeah.
Because then it's correct for them. Like, would you like my guidance in doing this?
Yeah.
I see, because projectors are here to see and recognize the other and then be seen and recognized in return.
Mm.
And so when you can see and recognize there's this piece that they need, they want, that they need to learn here, then that's the introduction to them being seen and heard by you and being seen and heard in return. And
That's amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I love how you explained that, because I was literally imagining, as a projector, they're sort of an organizational manager. They see all the moving pieces and where everything needs to be to get the business and the person in alignment, going in the direction that they want to go.
exactly.
And they're able to, because they've studied systems, they're able to break it down and go, okay, so they're here. This is what we need to start with.
Exactly.
And I love how you said, the invitation of, would you like some guidance on this? Because you're fulfilling a need in both people, your client and you. And that's where the flow and the connection happens. And then from there, it's much easier to accomplish goals through, your business coach guiding you through what's next.
And that's how projectors make offers to people. And it's the simplest form. So the initial invitation comes from that energetic connection of like, hey, I know, like, there's something about you, you have something that I need, but I don't know what it is. It opens up that conversation. And then the projector gets to see where they're at in their process. If you do one-on-one stuff, or if you already have a course, you can be like, oh, you need this course. But they can see where they're at in the process and then invite them into working one-on-one. Would you like my guidance? I have a course on this. Or, hey, would you like my guidance? I do one-on-one coaching with this. I can walk you through it step by step. Either way, whatever's correct for the projector to offer. But that's where you get, as a projector, gets to offer the other person an ability to say yes or no and not be attached either way. Because if it's a no, it doesn't mean it's a no forever. It may just be a no right now, or they may not be the correct guide for them. The last thing you'd want to do is get into a relationship where the projector is not the right guide for the person, and stuff can go wonky in that way. And that's why waiting for the invitation to open up is really important, to make sure that that is a good match.
That's all amazing stuff.